Thank you for joining us today for the workers' compensation training. Today, we're going to go over workers' compensation, the process for reporting, what all of that entails. So we'll jump in. Our agenda is going to go over the workers' compensation basics. We'll touch on the necessary paperwork that's needed to complete when there is an incident. We'll go over the claim reporting process. I'll show you the first fill card, which is a feature that our insurance company has. And we'll touch on light duty and what that means and how that plays out here. So a couple basics to go over. Just so you're aware, workers' comp pays 66 2/3% of their pre-injury wages. So when an employee goes out for workers' comp related injury, when they get paid, they only get paid about 2/3 of their pre-injury wages. They do have to be out for 7 consecutive days under a doctor's care to start collecting workers' comp payments. Those payments are for their wages. They do start paying for medical bills at the start of the claim. We do want to make sure that claims are reported within 24 hours of notice. Now that's 24 hours of notice of you being notified. If you aren't notified until days after the incident happened, then you can't control that, but you do want to get it reported as soon as you are told about it. If this is ever to happen, a catastrophic or fatal claim, we do want to get that reported, but we want to notify Kathy Dancy. She's the VP of Human Resources, so please send her an email or give her a phone call to let her know that that happened. So what do you need to complete? There are 5 things that need to be done when a workers' comp incident happens. First is the incident report, and that is the screenshot on the left there. This is just the first page of the incident report, but this is a company form that we like to have completed anytime there's an incident. So this is for our records to have. It's a great way for you as the reporter to have a written record of everything you did and everything that happened while you take the report. So you want to make sure to fill that out. That is located on the share drive under the incidents and complaints folder. And under the workers' comp subfolder, you'll see the attached document. You'll want to make sure to give the panel to the employee that was injured. So you'll see an example of that on the right-hand side of the screen. The panel is a list of physicians that we have an agreement with for them to treat our workers' comp claims. So each office has a particular list based on their area. And again, that's housed under the share drive, under the incidents and complaints folder in the workers' comp subfolder. You'll also want to complete a drug test. So this will need to be done if you've been notified of the claim within 24 hours. If the claim happened, the incident happened several days ago, then this will be pointless. But if it just happened, please either perform an in-office drug test or send them to Patient First to get that completed. Then once you've compiled all this information, you want to take it and report it in the portal. And we will go over the reporting of that and kind of what the portal looks like. And then finally, you're going to want to add it to your OSHA 300 log. Again, this is saved in the share drive under the incidents and complaints in the workers' comp subfolder. The OSHA 300 log is a log of every incident that happens throughout the year for your specific location. So you want to keep a running log of all those incidences. I recommend creating a binder or a folder specifically for workers' comp for your office. Each incident will need to be documented, as at the end of the year, we're responsible for providing a summary of that information. So it's much easier if you keep track of it throughout the year. So then when the end of the year comes, you have all the information you need. This next slide just breaks down the incident report that we use internally. So it goes over the 2 sections in the top section of the form. So you want to fill out the employee's information. The client was involved. You want to include their information in the top section. In section 1, you want to indicate the type of incident and specific body part that was affected and answer any additional relevant questions. So if there was emergency care sought, where did they go? If the police had to be contacted, any of that information will be relevant. So you want to make sure you fill that in. Then you'll describe the incident in as much detail as possible. And I do encourage you to use as much detail as possible. Please include time, location, be specific with the body part. Our insurance company is going to do a deeper dive, so they're going to come back with more questions. So the more you provide up front, the less you'll have to provide after the claim is reported. And then the office use portion is for you to indicate what actions you took. So you can note that you reported the claim on the portal and what date you did that, what direction you gave to the employee, and if you gave them the panel, if they indicated whether or not they were going to get treatment or not. And then you'll want to put your name and your title and the date you completed it, because that's indicating what you did and when it was done. This next slide is a copy of the OSHA 300 log that I was speaking about earlier. So each line is a line for a different incident. So again, you're just going to fill in the information, the employee's name, job title. The case number would be their claim number on the portal. That's not important that you have to fill that out. But you do want the name of the employee, the injury, where and when the event occurred, what the injury was, and if they had any time away from work. The time away from work is something that they're going to ask for in the summary report. So we want to make sure we're tracking all of this throughout the year, as it makes things at the end of the year a lot smoother. This is a copy of the summary form. It's called the OSHA 300A, and it is a summary of the log. So as you complete the log throughout the year, you'll be able to easily plug in these numbers, sign, and finish this form. This is what's posted throughout the year in your office. So if OSHA were to come in, they'd be able to locate this in the office and see what's been going on in regards to injury and employee safety. So you may be asking, when do I report and why is it so important to report? This is a screenshot of the homepage of our reporting portal with our insurance company. And you need to report whenever there is an incident. So anytime there's ever an incident, it's best to report it, even if it's minor and the employee does not seek any sort of treatment. You'll want to check off the notification only box for the claim if the employee did not seek any sort of treatment. But you do want to make a report every time, because sometimes people come back after they've said that they're not going to get any treatment and they decide to get treatment later on. So it's better to have all the information reported up front to the insurance company so they can jump back into the claim if that is needed. It's also super important because it helps us. We want to make sure that we're keeping clear, concise records, that we have all of our communications documented. So when we go ahead and fill out the incident form and we report the incident as soon as it happens, then we have all of our ducks in a row should something happen later on. So just to recap the important pieces of the reporting process, you do want to complete all paperwork even if treatment is not sought. So you want to make sure that incident report is completed and you want to make sure to report the claim on the portal. Please utilize the panel list for treatment options. So that is something you'll want to print a copy of for the employee so that they can see where they can go in order to get treatment. Make sure you complete that drug screen. So if the claim was reported to you and it happened within 24 hours, please make sure that they are tested either in the office or at a local urgent care. And then make sure you forward all paperwork to me. You don't need to forward any sort of screenshot of the claim report. When the claim's reported, I get a notification from our insurance company. But if you, when you complete the incident report, and if you receive any doctor's notes, return to work notes, or any bills, please forward those on to me so I can get them to the right claim handler. And then finally, do not forget to document the incident on the OSHA 300 form. Now we'll get into the online portal in a moment, but there are 4 different ways you can report a claim. Online is obviously preferred. It gets assigned immediately once it is reported. You can report claims via email, so you can send that incident report to that email there via phone or fax. Email's great if you need to get the claim reported and you're not the primary reporter and the primary reporter is out of the office and you don't have a login. This is a great way to go ahead and get that information submitted so that they can start working on the claim investigation. Now, you may be wondering what happens after you report the claim. Typically, there's not too much for you to do. But that's not necessarily true for every claim. This does happen a lot when we don't provide all the information up front. So again, that's an incentive for you to collect as much information as you can up front so they have what they need to complete their investigation. Any documentation that you receive, please make sure that it's forwarded over to HR for us to handle and process. If a caregiver reaches out to you and has questions or is following up about their status, please keep HR informed. That will allow us to get in touch with the insurance company and let them know what's going on. And before the employee comes back to work, please make sure if they had been out of work because of their injury, that you get a return to work note, releasing them in full capacity. We do allow light duty from time to time, but is very rare. So that will need to be passed up the levels of admin to your admin or potentially your RVP to decide if that's appropriate. But typically we want a full capacity return to work note in order for them to come back. And finally, the First Fill program. This is also saved on the share drive under the incidents and complaints folder under the workers' comp subfolder. And again, this is something you can print out and hand to the employee that's injured if they are, if they are going to seek treatment. This is for their first prescription. So this will help cover that first prescription cost. So you can print this out. It'll provide that coverage for that first prescription until their claim gets reported, and then that's managed through the insurance company. So you'll just want to make sure that you give this to the employee so they're equipped with that if they need a prescription. So that is the full presentation. I'm going to move into the portal so you can see what that looks like. So just bear with me one moment while I get that pulled up. So this is the homepage of Crum & Forster, and this is where you'll log in. Crum & Forster is our insurance company. If you are new and haven't received a login, please email me at ccompton@careadvantageinc.com so I can get that login request submitted so you can get a login for the portal. But if you have a login, you're going to click on Customer Login, and you'll fill in your login information. And once this comes up, you're going to scroll down and you'll click under Report a Claim. You'll hit Go. And excuse me, you will select the first option, select an account and report a claim. And you'll select this account number or account name. That's the only account that we have, so it'll be the only account that you'll get. And you'll just want to make sure that you are under workers' comp. We use them for both commercial auto insurance and workers' comp. It does auto-populate to workers' comp, so that makes that a little easier, but you'll just want to make sure that you are utilizing the workers' comp tab. Again, you'll see the notification only. So if it is just a notification, no treatment was sought, you can check that off and continue in the reporting process. You'll select the current policy, which is for our current policy year. That doesn't renew until November. Typically the state will be Virginia, but you may be reporting out of somewhere else. And then you're just going to fill in the information. You can put your information here if you want. You can also put my name. This will just allow them to know who they need to contact for additional questions. Please make sure that your branch address is listed in here and your branch phone number is listed. You don't need to fill in the supervisor information, and then you'll populate all the employees' information. Everything with an asterisk is required. I'm just going to populate some of these fields so that we can move forward. And I can continue to walk you through the process. Making sure you fill in this information is very important because they will come back and ask these questions later. So it's best to go ahead and get it filled in from the beginning so you don't have to come back and report it later. Hopefully it'll let all this go through. Typically this will be home health aid. You'll fill in their status and their wage information. Obviously, you'll have to do this to the best of your ability, as they all work different schedules, and they get different pay rates for different cases. So you'll have to use the best of your ability here. Were the full wages paid the date of injury? So that's just asking, was their shift cut off because they were injured? So you'll just need to answer that yes or no. You'll select no. If they don't have any PTO, their salary won't continue. The date that the disability began. So if they were injured on the 27th, then you'll want to make sure that you put the 27th. And that would be the last day worked if they didn't come back. Will they miss work beyond the injury date? So you'll want to indicate yes or no. And if you have a date for return, you'll want to indicate that. If the employee is still out of work, this is one of the main questions that the insurance company asks after every report. So you'll want to make sure that you answer this, if they're still out or if they're not. And then, was the employee unable to return at least one full day? So were they able to come back after their injury for a full shift? And then you'll fill in the date of the accident. We said it was the 27th, the approximate time. It doesn't have to be exact. They got injured. We're reporting it today. And then this is something that gets missed a lot, but it's very important that you fill this out correctly. Select an accident site. So this is the address of your office. So you need to select the correct address. So if you're out of the Fredericksburg office, you would select that address. Location of the incident would be usually the client's house. Again, jurisdiction would be wherever the client is located. And initial treatment. So did they not get any treatment? Was it minor on-site treatment? Did they go to like urgent care? Did they have to go to the emergency room? What happened? And then this is where you give your full description of the incident. And hopefully it's not an amputation of their ankle because of chemical burns. But you'll put in the appropriate information and make sure you complete all the questions. Read the questions. Are they relevant to the case? If they are, answer them. If they're not, then don't. Is there a witness? So if the person slipped and fell, was there anybody around that saw what happened? Provide their information. If they saw treatment, make sure that the medical provider's information is here. That should be pretty easy to determine because it should be a provider on the panel list. And then if you have any additional information, if there was something particularly strange or just something important you wanted to note, you can add that information there. That will go to the adjuster. If there's anything else you want to add, like a bill or return to work note, please make sure you can either drag and drop, or if it's saved to your computer, you can pull it up and save it that way. And then you would just submit the claim. Once it's submitted, it gets reported to the insurance company and they assign it to a person to investigate. So that is the process for reporting the claim online. And that does complete our training today. Again, if you have questions about this, please re-review the, if you have questions about this, please re-review the training. It is located on, the PowerPoint is located on the Share Drive under the Incidents and Complaints folder under the Workers' Comp subfolder. The first fill program information is there along with the OSHA logs that are necessary to complete. If you have any questions, you can email HR Field or HR Office and we will touch base with you on those questions. Thank you so much for joining us on this training and have a great day.